You are watching All Astrology, and this is your week of April 27th to May 4th. May the 4th be with you, May 4th. So, looks like a pretty big week in that there is a full moon this week. But that's not all. Uranus is now in Gemini along with Venus energy. So this is all about disruptive energy. Okay, so we already kind of talked about this in last week's video. And so this would be new values, new conversations, new thoughts, new networking, new group energy, new leader, possibly a new group emerging, possibly, because this is a group thing, Uranus energy. We think of supply chain for sure. And technology comes forward big time, but it's still at the 0 degrees here for this week. So the 0 degrees tells us that there's not only a lot going on, and it's going to be, intense, but quite extreme energy is how you read the 0 degrees. At an extreme, we think electricity and we think the neurons in our brains when we think Uranus energy. We think of elevation. Our level of consciousness and awareness literally expands. It talks about the gray parts of the brain lighting up and new neural pathways being like coming alive, right? Firing and rewiring type of energy. So our values and what we're talking about and the thinking and the communicating that we're doing, like what's in the news, what we're learning about, will be huge for this week. Obviously, when Venus was conjunct Uranus, that probably would have been like the big deal. But hold on, look, there's more. This Venus now moving away from Uranus is now in a very strong trine with Pluto. So these are groups of power, groups of powerful people. And how about the fact that groups are powerful? The power of the people, even, right? At the 5 degrees, we know that's authority figure energy. And Pluto is slowing down. So this week is intense for this reason, which is why I've got Pluto drawn in, because it will be the below the surface energy that is telling the story, kind of narrating the story for this week. It's this intense, powerful energy that wants to come up from below and reveal what's been hidden. And it's coming up and changing things. It's saying that old way doesn't work anymore. So this can be people, this can be groups that don't work anymore. We think of unions, friendship, and streaming, and that group I used to hang out with. And this is social causes. But of course, this is the supply chain and how all of, because this is global systems when we talk about Aquarius energy, global systems. So one thing I want to add here is that Aquarian energy in general is leaps and bounds. It literally is, the word springboard doesn't do it justice. It just doesn't. This is the kind of energy where things are accelerated, moving so fast. And so money and values and tariffs and taxes definitely comes up as Venus is directly talking with Pluto, like they're both sitting at the table. And the 5 degrees is super significant. This Pluto at 5 will begin a retrograde here. You see this? 5:30 is where that retrograde begins. So this whole week, like the next day it goes to 5:30. This whole week it sits. For the rest of the days, it'll be at 5 degrees and 30 minutes. Now, the retrograde doesn't officially begin until we're into May. Deep stuff, transformational stuff, big changes will occur during this time. And it's, connecting over there with your Gemini energy. This is new, this is different, this is trade, this is business, this is sales. What you're learning about, what we're teaching, what we're just sharing with each other, whether it's social media, the social sites, whatever the hell. So the connection here with your Venus at the 4, we think of right at the beginning of this week, you think emotions, feminine energy, home, family. And yeah, of course, feminine energy. And what about the whole, Epstein? So more information and more news and likely more reveals. So whether it's with that name or whether it's with other people in the headlines. So deeply transformational stuff and maybe some surprises because that's the Aquarian energy, and Uranus is now officially in Gemini and staying there. So it's going to be there, like, I think it's got 7 years, right? Roughly, something around there. So the connection with the values and the money and women energy, this can be banking, this can be real estate for sure at the 4 degrees, and the markets and trade. But think of your local businesses, think of your home, think of what it is that you value within your local community, even because that's Gemini, where you live, your neighbors, the people you work with, your peers, sibling energy. So partnerships comes into the conversation. Group energy. This is important partnerships. These are serious partnerships, but they're unconventional partnerships. They're different. The other thing is that now, yes, of course, these are at 7. These are at 7 degrees. So this does talk about compromise for this week. Now, along with the compromise, we have the sun also, the sun in Taurus, and it's sitting here at 7 degrees. So right at the beginning, you see this compromise energy. Now, I want to also put the sign of Libra up here. This is going to be important for this week because there's all this Libran Congress negotiations. Let's make a deal, contracts. Like this is all the 7 degrees. Law, lawyers, scales of justice. This is all of that. You're hearing rumblings of impeachment and sure, and there's a big long process to it. So we'll see what happens. But I will add that having the nodes there and having compromise, and let's find something that's a little bit more equitable for everybody involved, and let's get some movement. That could be a theme that creates the change this week and going forward. Now things are going to move really fast. This big kite that we have on here is growing in power. Libran energy, more lawyer energy, more Congress energy, more diplomatic energy. Okay. But it's really this little mini trine that has developed. Neptune will be at the peak. So that 4 and 5 degree mark is where you're going to have Neptune and Uranus and Pluto sitting. Because remember, Pluto's retrograde is about to begin. So the 4 and the 5 degree are going to be sensitive points in your chart. If you have anything in Gemini, anything in Aquarius, or anything in Aries. Okay. And this is for this whole year because everything's going to take a retrograde and then it travels back over it. So it's not like a one and done thing. There's a lot that has to be done, a lot of change that has to occur, and a lot of newness that has to happen for the Neptune energy, government energy, our beliefs about our future type of energy, politicians and public figures, and war and fighting and rights and freedom. This is kind of the theme for this time, international stuff, but also what's going on at home and how our beliefs and possibly our religious beliefs. The full moon that I mentioned will be on the 1st of May. Yeah. So you're going to watch that other video to get all the other details about it. But real quick, it's a full moon in Scorpio. So change, deep, intense possible changes. Will it be war? Will it be people of power who are abusing their power? Does it have to do with the oil, the supply chain stuff, the shared values? Absolutely. Taxes, insurances, that's all Scorpio stuff. Wounds, vulnerabilities, and healing. All Scorpio keywords, super psychic energy, it is at 11 degrees. Again, more group energy. So the power of the group. And remember, it's a release, it's a let go. Your chart, well, actually, just go watch the video and you'll get more details. But I go over the orbs in that. But yeah, 11 degrees is what you're looking at in Scorpio. A full moon is a release and an ending. This is a big week for communicating what my values are, having options and choices and decisions, maybe having to make decisions based on, what is my value? What are my values? Maybe you're literally checking the bank account. Maybe you're literally, you know, having to make some choices. And at that 12 degrees, that says that we could be a little idealistic, we could be a little delusional, but it could be also focused on prayer and faith and unity and oneness, because that would be that 12 degrees of Venus. So overall, the big story would be change and the intensity that Pluto is developing into. It's preparing. So this whole week, it's preparing for its retrograde. And, we'll go a little bit more deeper into that when we have that week of when Pluto actually, when that retrograde comes about. But you can be sure that when May comes around and the Pluto retrograde actually takes place, I don't know. I don't know if I'm optimistic. I don't know. I just keep saying, God, what a celebration. What a party. What a the new global holiday that we'll have if the change happens that, like, we're all kind of praying would already just happen. So that's around May 5th, May 6th. So that is not far away. That will be the next week's video. And just remember, deep, intense changes and a group energy is a big part of this.